In a recent video, I pointed out some shortcomings of the combat system in Bannerlord, like not being able to attack exposed body parts behind a shield, or not being able to vary the angle you strike from. The developers of an upcoming game called Kinstrife saw that video and reached out to me, wanted to share some things that they're working on that might solve some of these complaints of mine. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at the combat system of Kinstrife and compare it to Bannerlord. This is not a sponsored video and I have no business relations with these guys, but I wanted to analyze some of the clips and share it with everyone. Let's dive right in. If you haven't seen Kinstrife yet, I'll post a link to the trailer in the description, but essentially it's a medieval RPG with physics-based combat. It aims to be more realistic than Bannerlord, and the combat system is much more complex, allowing for more variety in both offense and defense. Let's start by looking at the basic combat stance. The character is controlled by moving the mouse around the reticle, which varies the angle he holds his weapon or shield at. With this combat system, we can both attack and block from a full 360 degrees around our character. Not only that, but we can vary the speed and strength of each strike by swiping across the circle faster or from further away from the center. As someone who studied and competed in combat sports, being able to vary your strike speed is crucial to throwing off your opponent's timing, so this is amazing to see. Now with the giant reticle removed, we can see what normal combat actually looks like. I really like how you can attack across your body, then back to your starting position, essentially creating your own attack combo. And since we can swing from the full 360 degrees, there's a ton of different combos that we could utilize. I was also happy to see thrust attacks getting the same treatment, being able to stab wherever we want. The back-to-back stab combo looks pretty nasty to defend against as well. While I was pretty excited to see the 360 degree combat stance system, the part I was most interested in was the physics-based combat. You don't need a physics degree to know that nearly all video games don't use real physics, Bannerlord included. There's a difference between using physics concepts and using actual physics to simulate combat. For example, Bannerlord melee attacks do more damage if you're moving towards your opponent than if you're standing still or moving away from them. In physics, force equals mass times acceleration. So if you're moving towards your opponent, then your attack will hit with more force. However, if you have more mass, you should also do more damage. Try attacking someone with heavy armor on and repeat while naked. The damage is the exact same. Not only that, but wearing heavy armor doesn't even slow down your swing speed despite the many pounds of weight that you're now wearing. Bannerlord does not simulate physics, but uses some principles from physics. Kinstrife, on the other hand, does use physics throughout their entire combat system. In this clip, we can see the player attacking some training dummies. The stick moves back and forth depending on where the strike lands and with how much force. You'll also notice that after several attacks, the player has used up some stamina and begins breathing heavily. We'll have to be more intentional with our attacks rather than swinging indiscriminately with this game. I also noticed a couple more interesting things. A single swing could hit 2 body parts depending on the angle of the swing, and thrust attacks get stuck inside targets for a short time, which might leave us defenseless. Distance management is also going to be much more important. If we're too close to the enemy when we swing, we'll end up punching, pommel striking, or even getting tied up with our opponent instead of slicing them. Another big difference with Kinstrife is how armor is handled. These low-tier bandits have only cloth for protection and quickly get cut down by a sword. I have to say, the thrust attack kills in this game bring a sadistic smile to my face. Now, if we look at heavier armor, such as chainmail and metal helmets, the sword is mostly ineffective here. You can even hear the sword bouncing off the chainmail and helmet. But at the right angle, with the right attack, you can still pierce armor and damage the enemy. Or we could switch to a mace and get the job done correctly. The ragdoll in this game looks extremely satisfying, especially with mace kills. One aspect of Bannerlord that bothers me that I forgot to mention in my video is damage affecting performance. Units with 1% HP act the same as units with 100% HP. In Kinstrife, they've implemented a damage system that accounts for damage to limbs and other body parts. In this clip, the bandit's hand and arm are sliced up, forcing him to lose his weapon. This guy gets his hand sliced, loses his weapon, and then gets his leg cut, sending him to the ground. When he finally gets up, he's got a significant limp. And to top it all off, we can stab around shields. No more force field blocking attacks that should easily have landed. I also like that they've implemented spears so far, but the devs said it's still a work in progress, so we'll hold off on that for now. There's a lot to take in here, and I wanted to keep this video short since the game isn't even in early access yet. But from what I can tell, the devs have really put something unique together here. The 360-degree combat stance is something that I really wanted to see in Bannerlord, and I can't wait to test it out in Kinstrife. The armor system is more in line with what RBM was trying to do, which is a great start. I'm a huge fan of the realistic hitboxes on shields and damage to limbs affecting combat. And because everything is based off physics, things will react the way you imagine they should react. Stabbing wood will cause your weapon to get stuck. Absorbing a strong blow with a shield will push you around some, and ragdoll doesn't mean your arms and legs will flail around like a used car sales inflatable guy. While the scale of combat seems a lot smaller here, maybe a few dozen people at most, the actual combat looks much more enticing to me. I don't think it's a replacement for Bannerlord, and to be fair, I don't think that's what they're going for, but I do have high hopes for this one. Let me know what aspects of Kinstrife you're most interested in seeing more of. As I get more information or a playable demo, I'll let you know and keep you posted on everything. A huge shout out to the Patreon supporters and YouTube members. I really appreciate your help. We'll see you on the next video. And because everything is based off physics,